You know that feeling when you scroll through a dozen portable generators, see all the glossy photos and big numbers, and then when the box finally arrives you're left wondering why it feels so heavy, why the outlets are limited, or why the battery dies faster than you thought. I've been there buying a power station that looked perfect on paper, only to find it could barely keep my essential devices alive during a weekend outage. That hesitation is exactly why I wanted to break down the PowerMax 6000 from Ecagriat store before you spend a big chunk of cash on something that might not fit your real-world needs. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the problem most buyers face. You need a backup that actually runs the things you care about, not just a fancy box of specs. The PowerMax 6000 sits in the portable power station category, which means it's marketed as an on-a-stop solution for everything from keeping the fridge humming during a storm to charging power tools on a job site. The big promises here are a 3600 Wh capacity, 6000 W continuous output, and a 10 milliseconds UPS that should keep critical devices from cutting out the moment the grid drops. Those numbers sound impressive, but the real question is how they translate when you're standing in a dark kitchen with a dead fridge or setting up a remote campsite. If you're a homeowner who lives in an area with frequent blackouts, the sheer energy storage of 3600 Wh is a practical advantage. That amount can run a typical mid-size refrigerator for roughly 1,214 hours, keep a few lights and a TV on for the evening, and even power a CPAP machine for a full night, something that matters when you have a medical device you can't afford to lose. The pure sine wave output is another hidden gem. Many cheap generators output a modified wave that can buzz or even damage sensitive electronics like laptops or smart TVs. Because the PowerMax delivers clean power, you can plug in your home theater system or a small desktop computer without worrying about humming or data loss. The fast recharge options are where the unit tries to be versatile. You can juice it up from a wall outlet, a car cigarette lighter, a 200W solar panel, or even a higher output solar array if you have one. In practice, plugging it into a standard 120 VAC outlet will fill the battery from empty to full in about 8 hours, which is reasonable if you have a night to let it charge. Using a solar panel, however, is a bit more nuanced. A 200W panel under ideal sun will take roughly 18-20 hours to reach full capacity. So if you're counting on solar alone, you'll need a larger array or you'll have to accept slower replenishment. For someone who already owns a solar setup, the 4-way recharge flexibility is a real convenience. But if you're hoping to go off-grid with just a small panel, the math won't work out as quickly as the marketing suggests. One of the more practical strengths that often gets buried under the hype is the LFP, lithium iron phosphate battery chemistry. Compared to traditional lithium-ion cells, LFP is chemically more stable, meaning it's less prone to overheating or catching fire, a genuine safety point if you plan to keep the unit in a garage or under a table. It also tolerates deeper discharge cycles without a huge penalty on lifespan, so you can actually use more of that 3600 Wh in daily cycles without shaving years off the battery. The downside, though, is weight. The PowerMax 6000 tips the scales at around 70 pounds, which makes the portable label feel a bit stretched. If you're looking to lug it around a campsite or load it into a small hatchback, you'll quickly discover it's more of a movie and Sense power hub than a backpack-friendly charger. The 10 milliseconds UPS feature is worth highlighting because it directly addresses one of the biggest frustrations during an outage, the momentary flicker that resets routers, smart home hubs, or worse, medical equipment. In testing, a 10 milliseconds interruption is short enough that most devices see a seamless transition, essentially acting like a small UPS for your critical appliances. That's a solid benefit if you have a home security system or a medical device that can't tolerate even a second of loss. However, the UPS capability is limited to the continuous